Welcome to Betrayal Stories. In today's video, I'm about to share a story that changed me in ways I never expected. A story that started on an ordinary Sunday morning and slowly uncovered truths I didn't know my heart had been carrying. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. Your support means everything to us. Now, let's begin. I always believed that betrayal came in loud moments, raised voices, broken promises, or words sharp enough to cut. But sometimes betrayal is quiet. Sometimes it's the years you spend not seeing the person who has been right beside you all along. Sometimes it's the distance we let grow between us without noticing until something small forces us to face it. That something, for me, was a driving lesson. I never imagined that a simple Sunday morning would peel back layers of silence between me and my father, Stephen. I didn't think a steering wheel, a set of mirrors, and the hum of an old sedan would reveal how much we both misunderstood about each other. I wasn't prepared for what he would say or for the realization that hit me that I had betrayed him without meaning to. By assuming he didn't feel, didn't worry, didn't care as deeply as he did, that morning began like any other. The air was crisp and the sun had barely stretched over the roofs of the houses on our street. Our old sedan sat waiting under the maple tree, the same tree I had walked past thousands of times, never realizing how many memories it had silently watched us live. The leaves rustled gently as if they, too, were waiting for something to unfold. I slid into the driver's seat, hands trembling slightly. I tried to hide it, but my dad must have noticed. He always noticed things even when I wished he wouldn't. He climbed into the passenger seat, settling in quietly. There was something in his silence that morning, something heavier than usual. Something that made the air feel like it was holding its breath. "All right, Emily," he said softly. "Let's begin." His voice was calm, steady, familiar. But there was an undertone to it I couldn't quite place. I brushed it off as nerves. After all, I'd been practicing for weeks, and every time he sat beside me, I felt a mix of fear and pressure. Not because I thought he'd yell. He never yelled. But because disappointing him felt like the one thing I could never recover from. The driveway gravel crunched under the tires as I eased forward. My breath tightened in my chest. I wanted to do everything perfectly. I wanted him to look at me and see someone capable, someone he could rely on, someone worthy of his trust. We drove slowly down the familiar street lined with houses I'd grown up around. Everything looked ordinary, the cracked pavement, the uneven lawns, the mailbox at the corner that leaned slightly forward like it was tired. But somehow the world felt different, like it was waiting. For several minutes, my dad focused only on the basics. How to brake smoothly, when to signal, how to adjust my speed without jerking the wheel. His tone was patient, but his eyes were observing with an intensity I wasn't used to. I could almost feel his thoughts pressing against the inside of the car. Then, somewhere between a turn and a stop sign, he spoke again. But this time, his words weren't about driving. "Emily," he said quietly, "do you know why I insisted on teaching you myself?" I froze, unsure how to respond. My first instinct was the simplest answer. "Because you wanted to?" He gave a soft chuckle, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Yes. But there's more to it." I shot him a glance, confused by the seriousness in his tone. "You're growing up," he said, "faster than I realized, and I don't want to miss it." The words hit harder than I expected. A strange ache bloomed in my chest. Guilt, maybe, or realization. I had spent so long thinking he didn't notice when I pulled away, when I shut myself in my room, when I answered in short sentences. When I let our conversations shrink into nods and half smiles, I thought he didn't need more from me. I thought he was fine with the distance. But now, hearing him admit he wanted to be part of my world felt like a small betrayal. Not his mine, 'cause I had been blind to how much he cared. We stopped at the edge of the neighborhood. I waited for more instructions, but instead, he asked something unexpected. "What do you think it means to really know someone?" I blinked. I don't know. "To understand them, to notice," he said. to pay attention to the things they don't say. His words sank in two, the quiet air around us heavy and delicate at the same time. The car moved forward again, and with every street we passed, I felt something shifting between us, like the space that had grown over the years was slowly folding in, piece by piece. We drove toward the older part of town where the roads curved around tall trees that reached across the street like arms. The sunlight flickered through the branches, painting the car interior in shifting patterns. It felt like the world outside was listening. My dad cleared his throat softly. "Emily, there's something I've never told you. Something I probably should have said a long time ago." My grip on the wheel tightened. I wasn't sure I wanted to hear it. "For a while," he continued, his voice lowering, "I thought I was losing you." The words pierced through me like a sudden cold wind. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't sound angry. He sounded hurt, quietly, deeply hurt. The kind of hurt that grows slowly, unnoticed, until one day it's too heavy to ignore. I had no idea how to respond. Shame prickled at the back of my neck. I stared ahead, pretending to focus on the road, but my mind was spinning. "I know kids grow up," he said. "I know independence is important." But it felt like you stopped needing me, stopped wanting me around. My throat tightened painfully. I hadn't meant to push him away. I thought he preferred space, that he didn't want to deal with my teenage moods or my quiet days or my distracted answers. I didn't know he noticed. I didn't know it hurt him. He inhaled slowly. "That's why these drives matter to me. They're a chance to be part of your life again, even if it's just for an hour." His honesty felt like both a confession and a wound. A wound I had helped create without realizing. We drove in silence for a while, but it wasn't empty silence. It was filled with all the things we had never said to each other, all the years of assumptions, all the unspoken fears. Eventually, he said, "Emily, I trust you." My breath caught. I wasn't expecting that. "I trust you to pay attention, to be responsible, to grow into someone thoughtful, someone aware, someone who doesn't run from challenges, even when they're uncomfortable." I swallowed hard. No one had ever said something like that to me before. Not like this. Not with this kind of weight. And then something inside me cracked. Not in a painful way. More like a shell I didn't know I was hiding behind. We kept driving, and slowly the tension in my shoulders faded. My movements became smoother. The road didn't feel threatening anymore. It felt like a path opening in front of me, one I wasn't walking alone. After a while, he guided me toward a long stretch of road outside of town. The wind brushed lightly against the windows as the tires hummed steadily beneath us. The world looked wider here, open fields, rolling hills, the distant shimmer of a lake. Then he told me we were getting on the highway. My stomach flipped, but his voice was calm. "You're ready, Emily. I wouldn't let you do this if you weren't." His faith steadied me more than I expected. As we merged onto the highway, I felt an odd mixture of fear and exhilaration. Cars rushed past, engines roaring like restless waves. But I stayed focused. My dad watched me, not with doubt, but with quiet pride. And then something happened. A car sped into our lane far too quickly. Barely had a second to react. Instinct kicked in. I slowed just enough, adjusted the wheel, and signaled to avoid a collision. When it was over, my heartbeat thundered in my ears. My dad exhaled, startled. "But impressed, Emily?" he whispered. "That was perfect." And in that moment, that tiny, breathless moment, I felt something heal between us. Something that had been broken for years without either of us knowing. When we finally exited the highway, he directed me to a small overlook above our town. The sun was beginning to set, washing the sky in soft gold and pink. We sat quietly, breathing in the cool air. I felt his hand rest lightly on mine, steady, warm, familiar. He looked out at the view and said softly, "I don't care about perfection. I care about connection." And today felt like I had my daughter back. My eyes stung with tears I didn't bother hiding. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I didn't know I made you feel that way." He smiled sadly. "We all hurt each other sometimes without meaning to. What matters is what we do after." We stayed there until the sky darkened, and something inside me shifted permanently. Wasn't just a driving lesson, wasn't even just a conversation. It was a rebuilding, a quiet mending of all the small betrayals, the emotional distance, the assumptions, the silence. When we drove home, the world looked softer, warmer, like the road ahead. Wasn't something to fear, but something I was finally ready to face. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone.